How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the B team. We got Mike over there. I'm over here. We got a really good one for you guys today.
Yep.
We actually just got done interviewing John Spagnola. That will be at the end of the show. Very good interview. Ex-Eagle, played in Super Bowl 15. Went to Becca High here in Bethlehem, PA.
Bethlehem legend.
Great chopping it up with him. We talked about the differences between back in the day, how they played football at the tight end position specifically, and then we got into the game for this weekend, the Birds and the Chiefs Super Bowl. Really good interview. Mm-hmm. Mike, yeah.
He was great, man. Listen, he played in a Super Bowl, number one, from Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Played for the Birds for, I think it was 8 years.
Yeah, I think it was 8 or 9 years.
Played for Seattle in 88, and I think in 89 played for the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
Dude's been around, man. He's been around. He is obviously a Birds fan. He actually grew up behind my house where I live now.
Yeah, crazy.
So I've met him before. Awesome dude. Very happy that we got him on.
Mm-hmm.
Good energy. He brought good energy, good stuff because we talked about a lot of the new rules that the NFLPA has put in.
Yeah, we got into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, we got into the nitty gritty. It was good. I liked it.
It was a really good interview.
It was good information.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But we have some other stuff that occurred in the NFL.
Yeah.
Since we last spoke. I mean, literally an hour after we ended the last show and had it released and all that, Myles Garrett requested a trade. Every single time something big like this.
Saleh gets fired.
Rogers gets hired. All this stuff, Lamar. Every single time something big is like out there, we record, and then it drops right after we finish. Mm-hmm. So honestly, if you're looking for news to drop today, Thursday, just expect it to drop around 1 o'clock. Something's going to happen because that tends to happen to us when the offseason comes. But we got Kupp, we got Myles Garrett, both on the chopping block right now. Kupp 100% is getting traded. He was basically screwed over by the Rams, I feel like. And then Myles Garrett, let's just get a star on his helmet. Yeah. So which one you want to start with, Mike?
Let's start with Myles here.
Interesting situation.
Myles Garrett, because I believe that the front office spoke to him because he wanted to get a trade. He wanted to request a trade last year. Mm-hmm. They spoke about the vision and the future of the Browns, who they're going to bring in. Obviously, they have Jerry Jeudy there. They have some playmakers there.
No quarterback.
I mean, they got Jameis. Obviously, we know what Jameis is, but I feel like Myles Garrett has been on that team for so long, and he doesn't want to go the Joe Thomas route. He doesn't want to stay on the Browns and just be either mediocre or below average for the rest of his career. Like, he is such a good defensive end. He could go anywhere and make a difference, whether it be the Cowboys or some team that is ready to win. The Chargers would be another good spot for him. Go ahead.
I have an idea here because, the Browns have the number 2 pick in the draft, right? You have the number 2 pick in the draft. You need a quarterback. You have weapons around this team that have no one to give them the ball or throw them the ball. You have a defense that's solid with and without Myles Garrett. As crazy as that sounds, it's pretty solid. Myles Garrett is a specimen. He should be considered top 3 all time in his position just because he's not even 30 yet. He won't be 30 till next December, I think. November or December. The Browns should look to trade this pick with the quarterbacks that are there and the teams that are in the top half of this draft. I don't see if they drop out of that pick just even a little bit further back where you could trade Myles Garrett for a quarterback in a pick or two, maybe give away the second-round pick. You get a couple picks back with that. All of a sudden, you have a quarterback that you could ride into next year with all those weapons, and now you're taking weapons, or you could get your next Myles Garrett in the draft. I don't think that's a terrible option either, which kind of takes away a lot of teams that he's currently linked to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a very odd situation because the Browns are in a great spot actually with this when you think about it.
100%. I mean, I think they should trade him, no doubt, because number one, you're going to have to pay him a massive contract. And the cap space that they have right now, I believe, is negative. Like, they are not in a position to be paying Myles Garrett. It's really bad.
Let me tell you, Mike, I know about negative cap space.
There you go. Yeah. Like, I think the Dolphins, the Browns, and there are a couple other teams. I think the Saints are like
Oh,
negative 57
Saints
million.
are destroyed.
It's bad.
Destroyed.
But trade him. Why not? Listen, he's done his time there. He's such a great player, but you're in a position, like you just said, everything you said is spot on. You're in a position to get your number 2 spot. You're the number 2 slot right there. I think you could get a Travis Hunter right off the bat, and Abdul Carter right off the bat, and replace him, like you said, either when it comes to receiving quarterback or a DN like Abdul Carter. You could replace him. It's not an easy replacement, but you can get someone to fill the void and still be productive at the number 2 spot. You're going to get value in return. You're going to get a lot of picks. You could get a quarterback. Jumps to mind, Kyler Murray out there.
I was just about to say this.
You could go get him.
Kyler Murray, they're the 16th draft pick. You trade back, you get that pick, you get a lot of extra capital in that.
He needs to change the scenery. He needs to get out of Arizona and just needs a fresh start somewhere. And he needs a good coach that's going to push him, that's going to make him better. Maybe some smaller old linemen on the Browns, that might help too. But I think that would be a good target because a lot of guys that are already there on the team, they're not going to get traded. Like a lot of them, they're so young. Again, we have transitioned into this new period of football where they have, like, Bo Nix is there, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, like Tua Tagovailoa, like all these guys that are solidified in that quarterback spot. But there are a select few that you can go out, you can get. Maybe a Derek Carr if he's out for the Saints. Maybe you bring him to Cleveland for.
I was even thinking Miami, Mike. Tua,
yeah.
Because Miami might.
Tua.
Let's think. Tua is not a healthy individual right now. The Browns could use a Tua.
Mm-hmm. And they have a good line. They have a decent line. It's not bad.
If Tua comes back and he can stay healthy for a full season, that Browns team is elite.
So
Tua.
they're
elite.
So we 100% think that Myles Garrett's getting traded because I do. I think
it has to be.
Yeah.
Has to be.
I
traded.
think he's gone.
He's either going to get an extend. If this goes on for 2 more weeks, he's getting extended.
They've had this dispute for probably going on 2 years now. Because last year this news was kind of coming around. These rumors were coming about. But now I think it's official. He wants out. He said he's back in. He bought back in like Russie. Everyone bought back in. And then you see him play like, I'm out. So I don't blame him. I really don't. I think they should trade him. And they'll get a lot for him, like we said.
The Browns screwed themselves this year in the quarterback room. If they had actually went out and got a real quarterback, not
Jameis,
love
him, but
I love Jameis.
Yeah.
I love Jameis. But you can't go out into a season with Jameis and expect to win and put a good product on the field. I mean, we saw this week 1 with Deshaun Watson when the Cowboys absolutely obliterated this team. Myles Garrett probably knew then. He was like, we're in for a long season. Oh, yeah. I will not be a Brown next year.
And that guy's getting all the money.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so they
it's
won't
a
take
really
a quarterback
interesting
at number 2. Like, it's probably unlikely to take a quarterback at number 2. I don't think they do it anyways.
I don't think you could take a quarterback with Deshaun Watson still there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
Like, does it make any sense for them to do that?
If they stay, I think you take Travis or you take Abdul Carter and call it a day. Like whatever need you need the most. Myles Garrett's gone. You're probably gonna need a DN. Abdul Carter solves it. If you want a 2-way player where you can have someone at quarterback play a couple of snaps, mostly a receiver, then you get a guy like Travis Hunter.
But that's it. Travis Hunter.
What do they want?
He's demanding that he plays on both sides of the ball. So now we're looking at. There's a lot of teams out there that only want him to play corner. He's demanding that he plays both sides of the ball. So now whatever team he goes to has to be completely willing and open to play him at wide receiver and cornerback. But not part-time wide receiver, full-time wide receiver.
I disagree in a way. Do you remember when Caleb Williams was demanding that he has some type of ownership stake in the Bears if they
Was that
him?
Real, though?
I believe it.
Was that real?
I believe him and his dad were petty enough to fucking say shit like that. I think what's going to happen with Travis Hunter alone, he will play mostly receiver. Receiver is going to be his position, but he will
receiver
have
or corner?
Receiver.
You think he's going to be a receiver? I think corner.
I think he's going to be receiver, but I think he's going to play a little bit of cornerback. A couple of snaps, third down.
There's been a lot more chatter of him around the league being a corner.
It's such a weird. We've never seen this. I don't know how they're going to handle it.
Yeah.
Well, Deion
was the last one.
Deion was pretty much the last one, but that dude was a cornerback.
Yeah. Deep down, he's one of the best cornerbacks of all time.
Yeah. So,
but I feel like that's where Travis Hunter could thrive way more. Him as a wide receiver, in college, Travis Hunter looks great as a wide receiver, partly because of his ability at cornerback. People are watching him; they see those plays, and then he's got Shador throwing on the ball. He's got great coaching. Great situation for him at Colorado. You're going to come to the NFL where, if you're just an okay wide receiver in terms of the NFL, you're just going to wash away in that position. At cornerback, if you come into the NFL and you're really good at cornerback and you're solid, you're going to be put up there in arguments of top 10 in the league. Wide receiver is just such a tougher route for younger players to come in and be that guy. There's only so many. You know,
It's
we got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and CeeDee Lamb.
Garrett
Yeah, but look at his last year. That's what I mean. Like, he's dropped out of that conversation. You know?
Yeah, we don't.
Like, those three are really the only three in the NFL that you look at and you're like, those are the best young wide receivers.
Another one.
But then there's like a list of 5 to 10 guys who are just, you know, they're really good. But can you really put them up against those three? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I think at corner, he has a much better route to be successful in the NFL.
I mean, you know what? It's a
And
good
he could do
problem
that
to
on the
have. It's a
Browns.
good problem to have, though. Like, I mean, listen, if any team, say the Titans drafted at number 1, they're like, fuck the quarterback position. Let's just get a guy we're going to have for the future.
I think they could do that.
They could. I mean, he is going to be the biggest wild card to me because obviously when the draft comes, a lot of quarterbacks are going to be moving up the leaderboard. Jackson Dart's one of them. We talked about that. But it's a good problem to have because you could really use him. Like an injury happens or you just need someone to make a play. You need someone to go out there and just ignite the offense or the defense. It's a great player to fucking have to do it. But it's going to be confusing, and I feel like now we talk about it so much because, like, what are they going to do? It's going to be so simplified once he gets drafted to a team. He's going to be a receiver.
Like, yep, he's doing that. You're going to know exactly what he's going to be doing based on the team he's drafted to. He's either going to be corner or wide receiver. But I can't see him being both for very long.
Yeah, not full time though. He's not playing every down for receiver and cornerback.
That's what he's saying he wants.
It's
I don't think it's
not
possible
smart.
in the NFL. It's not smart at all. He's going to be injured after year
You
one.
played at Colorado, bro. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're playing in the
well,
NFL now.
yeah.
Like, not even trying to disrespect, but like,
yes,
this is
it's
your
different.
first year as a rookie. Like,
It's different.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so I think that Cleveland pick's gonna be interesting because they could go Abdul, they could go quarterback, they could go with the Heisman.
Cooper.
All right, let's move on to Cooper Kupp here. Big news came out yesterday, I believe, or when?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, sometime in there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I did not see this coming. I thought they would just keep him around for another year or two and let him retire a Ram.
Yeah.
Very odd. Like, he wasn't going to ask for a ton of money. I know he's on a ton of money, but I'm sure he would have been willing to negotiate it down a little bit to stay with the Rams.
But
maybe he
what's
wasn't.
fine.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe that's why they're trading him.
For me, I feel like he's a different type of player though. He's not like a Randall Cobb where you could just keep him for $1 million a year and just have him retire with you. Like, Cooper Kupp still has a lot of value. I think he still has gas left in the tank. I think he was kind of having a falling out with the Rams. He still was producing in a way. Like, did he maybe take a step back? Yeah, but there are going to be teams that are going to throw out some picks for him, a third, a fourth. So I understand why the Rams are like the way they're playing their hand, but that dude's been on the Rams his whole career.
Yeah.
Like, there should just be some negotiation where you can keep him, not trade him. Like, you hate to see that in sports. You know what I mean? A star player that's been in the league for so long on the same team. Like, that's like Larry Fitzgerald just like going to the Jets for a year.
That would make no sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just keep him, bro. He's a good player still. He's got gas left in the tank. But the Rams are in a position where they need value. Ever since the Super Bowl where they made it, they gave everything up to win that Super Bowl. And listen, they won the Super Bowl. Good for them.
And they've been very good since.
But they still have a lot financially to overcome. They still have holes to fill. So I understand why they're doing it. But I don't know. I'd hate to see him go as a fan watching because he's been around for so long. But I understand. Again, end of the day, it's a business. So
yeah. And if they're looking at him
aside.
saying like, oh, he's underproducing now, he's not what he was. Well, was he supposed to still be putting up the same numbers when Puka is clearly the number 1 wide receiver now?
Yes.
Was he supposed to be doing that? No, it's impossible. And he's still able to dink and dive you underneath. I think he has a lot of value. For a team that needs that, I mean, look at the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Browns. Put him next to Jerry Jeudy. That's a tough combination right there.
Yeah. A lot of teams could use him. There are so many teams out there. The Cowboys, the Jets. Like, there's so many teams out there.
The Jets.
That could use, because Devontae Adams, we don't know what's going to happen with him.
That's what I was going to say. Like, they got to figure out some.
Yeah, they have a lot to figure out. But Cooper Kupp would easily be a target for a lot of other teams. There is no, let me test the market and see, and then he gets nothing and he comes back to the Rams. That will not happen. So many teams. The Broncos is another one. The Chargers is a very good one.
I like him on Miami because they love to dink and dive.
Miami, yep.
That would be a great spot for him. Put him out there.
You can put him anywhere. That just goes to show our argument here. Like, he's so important to teams. And the fact that the Rams just, again, contract issues, contract dispute, like, needs to get figured out if he wants to come back. But he could be utilized in so many ways on so many offenses.
I agree. I'm actually more excited for that one than Myles Garrett, and
Me too.
Cowboys have zero chance at Cooper Kupp.
I don't know where Myles Garrett goes. I don't know who's going to be willing to make the move for him. I think it's going to be a win-now team.
I hate that the Cowboys are always
the Chiefs,
like
bro,
at the top of the odds list for every star
time,
player.
yeah.
Like
Jerry Jones
how many
didn't go
times
sign Derrick Henry.
Jerry
Right?
Jones is never going to pull the trigger on this
Yeah,
stuff.
he will never. No
He's
way.
taking massive risks. There's no glory holes in this business.
He's always
It's
had a
crazy,
liking to
dude.
Myles Garrett, though. This is different, though. I feel like Jerry Jones has always had a
He likes Myles Garrett.
fascination
Him
with
and
Myles Garrett.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
The guys that want to be Cowboys.
Yes.
They ask to be Cowboys. That's why I think Myles Garrett will be a Cowboy, but he can't expect to come in and be paid what he's paid. Like,
Bro, the Chiefs
You
might
can't.
do it. The Chiefs might just make the move for him. Imagine that.
dude,
They'd be the Dodgers.
him and Chris Jones.
Chris Jones,
So
Karlaftis, another young guy. Oh my God, they'd be lethal.
I did see a tweet that said
Imagine.
Myles Garrett is in negotiations with the Dodgers. Baseball's ruined.
Yeah,
I saw that
baseball's
one.
ruined. It's ruined. It's ruined. Baseball's ruined. How can I ruin the NFL?
Oh man,
He needs to get out
that's
of
gonna
Cleveland.
be fun though.
He has to get out of Cleveland.
Has to. Both of them. I want them to be happy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mikey Meatballs is back here. Mikey Marsala, Mikey Margarita, because you get 10% off your entrees at Mesa Modern Mexican in Easton, PA. So come in, say what's up to me. I'll make you a drink. Go on Sunday. Go on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday to Fridays, happy hour 4 to 6. And I will be there most of those days. Good entrees, enchiladas, shrimp and scallop, the freaking brisket, the pork relleno. There are so many good options on this menu. You got to come in. Use the B Team podcast. You get 10% off. You get to see me. Maybe Muller will be there on a good day. He's usually slinging content out in this cave here. So come to Mesa. Use the discount. Like, follow, subscribe.
So we're
Mr.
adding
Hot.
best bets here right before, and then we'll get into the interview. Super Bowl best bets, so it'll be a little bit longer today, a little bit longer than normal. Well, hopefully not. The Chiefs are currently favored -1.5. We got Eagles at +1.5. Over under 48.5. Actually came down a point since it opened. It was opened at 49. It's now at 48.5. Money line, you got -120 for the Chiefs. Birds +102. This has got to be one of the more even Super Bowls where I didn't have more than a 75% chance of a team winning in my mind, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like the Chiefs going into that Super Bowl, I was like, all right, Chiefs are going to win.
Yeah.
Chiefs are going to win the last couple that they won.
This one is a little
and then
different.
The Bengals won against the Rams.
Rams.
I had the Rams.
I think I had the Rams too.
This was the closest one because it's the Chiefs. Everyone knows it's the Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Kelsey. There's no way Kelsey's as bad as he was in that last game. Well, not as bad, but there's no way he produces as little as he did last game in this one, especially on this stage. Then you got the Eagles, who have the best roster in football.
Yep.
It's going to be a great game, hopefully,
Yeah.
but it's close.
What
It's
are your
close.
What are the bets? What are you leaning?
What do you want to get
towards?
into first? You want to get into passing? You want to get into rushing, receiving?
I have a couple in mind right now.
Okay,
that I
well,
would
let's
take.
start here. Coin toss, heads or tails? They're both -104.
I'm going tails.
Tails, I'm going.
I'm going tails.
I
Heads
was
been heads a
thinking
lot
tails, dude.
recently. I think tails is due.
I was thinking tails too.
It's
to be
so
honest with you.
due. Gatorade color? I think
I couldn't
red.
find the odds there,
I like red.
so I have a guy.
Imagine the Eagles win and they get dumped with red Gatorade.
I have a guy. I
You
have a guy. I have a Twitter guy. I have a Twitter guy.
How do you
He's
bet the Gatorade
claiming.
color?
He's claiming yellow.
Yellow?
He's claiming he's seeing packets of yellow everywhere.
Yellow.
I don't hate it. I get why you would say red, but I feel like it would be a little off-putting to have red when it's the Chiefs there. You know what I mean? Like maybe a baby blue, but yellow, it's a little neutral. You know, it goes with the Saints, the logo. I think he might be on to something. He's seeing something there.
It's
I'm gonna
staring me
ride
right
it.
in the face.
I'm gonna ride it. He was there yesterday.
Staring me right in the face.
I'm going with
taking
yellow. I'm
taking
going with yellow.
Yeah, imagine you have a parlay and like everything hits, but the last one is the Gatorade
Gatorade.
color, and you're just waiting. It comes out purple. Like, if you put any Gatorade color into a parlay, call the number, dude.
Yeah.
Call the number. I'm sorry. Like you could parlay heads and tails and the Gatorade color. All right, like I'll give you a pass. But if you have like the over under spread. And then you have the Gatorade color at the end to decide it. And there's how many? 7 Gatorade colors?
There's tons. There's tons.
There's tons.
You got orange. You got green. You
there's a
got
lot.
lime green. You got blue. You got baby blue. You got red. You got blood orange. You got purple. You got white.
Great flavor. Love the white cherry.
That might be it.
The light blue, the dark blue. They have so
They
many.
got so many.
I like yellow.
G2.
The G2. Give me the yellow. I want
I'm
that.
going yellow.
All right,
I'm
you sold me
riding
on
with
that.
my guy.
Tails
Riding
and
with my
yellow.
guy.
So
Tails and yellow.
we're rolling with that. All right.
Yeah. So let's look at touchdown scores a little bit here. We're going to have to put our touchdown scores anyways. The top 5 right now are Saquon at -190, Hurts -115, Kelsey +125, Worthy +150, and Hunt +150. Saquon, it's currently more favorable at Saquon scores a touchdown than either team to win.
That just goes.
That's
Saquon.
impressive.
I got one in mind I like.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm going to take Pacheco to score. I think Isaiah Pacheco in the Super Bowl, it has a different feel to it. I feel like he's finally getting healthy now. Kareem Hunt's still there. Yeah, he's taking the bulk of it. But they're going to want a young guy in there, especially on like the short passing downs, like when he's a check down guy. He gives a little bit more fight and power towards the goal line.
Yeah.
I like Pacheco to score rather than Kareem. And yeah.
My first pick, I'm going D-Hop.
D-Hop. Okay.
I just think that there's so little talk about the guy. I mean, his odds
is.
on all this stuff are ridiculous. He's plus 600 to score a touchdown. Chances are this will be his last Super Bowl unless the Chiefs bring him back, which I doubt it. And, he's at the back end of his prime. Some are saying he's out of his prime. But he's got Patrick Mahomes there. And if you're telling me that Andy Reid's not going to draw something up for D-Hop in the red zone, you're crazy. Mm-hmm. You're crazy. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm with
it
you.
makes sense to me.
So D-Hop.
I'm taking D-Hop. We got
no
Pacheco.
Birds players.
Nope. Yet. We got to do 2 each.
All right. So for Birds, I'm just going to take the heavy favorite. I'm going to take Saquon. We're going to keep it very simple.
All right.
He's got to score.
Yeah. We're also assuming there's going to be 4 touchdowns. The over's hitting. The over's hitting.
I would take that as well.
I hope.
I'm taking the over.
Now I'm torn here because the Jalen Hurts tush push is going to always be there.
Is it another Saquon Hurts?
But are they going to look at this and say, they stopped it against the Bills. We're not going to do it.
Fuck
or
it,
do they
Lane
ride
Johnson
with
scored.
it? Right? That's why I'm going to go with Travis Kelce as my second pick.
Oh, so 2 Chiefs.
We're going with 3 Chiefs in this parlay this week, and we got Saquon
like
Barkley. They're going to hate it, but
Although,
that puts us at plus. We're not saying they're not going to score.
Yeah.
Because we just said it's going to hit the over, and if it's going to hit the over, we need more guys to score touchdowns. But this puts us at 10,910. That's a great-looking parlay, Mike. Great-looking parlay.
What is Rob Pelinka wearing?
Oh, I saw that.
He looks like Rob Lowe.
Yes. I don't know what that jacket was he's
wearing.
wearing.
He wearing?
So we're looking at the Luka Doncic press conference right now. Rob Pelinka looks ridiculous.
Rob Lowe. That's
also,
Rob Lowe.
He has the worst haircut in sports.
Oh,
he has the back spiked up, but then the front combed straight down. I don't understand it. He's got it greased up.
Rob Lowe.
It's really weird. Back to this, though. So we got Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Hopkins, Saquon Barkley, Travis Kelce, plus 10,910. I still think Jalen Hurts is going to score at some point because, we talked with Spags about this. The Chiefs got to force him to beat them on the ground and in the air. He's the guy that you have to force to beat you. And if they're going to make him beat them, I think that eventually he's going to tear off a little 10-yard run for a touchdown. He's going to get that tush push, and he's going to be successful on one. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. Eventually, they just get 2 yards. I think that they get it. I'm not going to pull the trigger just because I think that they're going to draw up some fun plays, and maybe Lane Johnson scores a touchdown. The Eagles are known for doing that in the Super Bowl.
Johnson scored a touchdown, probably plus 8,000.
Do they even have it on here? They don't even
Any
have it
old
on
line.
here.
It'll probably be like a special. Any old lineman to score. I might take it.
So
I might spread some money around. Big parlays.
It's not on here. It might be in the
Give it like till
Super Bowl
Saturday.
props.
I
Yeah,
think
it'll
they'll
be
have
there.
everything.
It'll be there.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably throw $50 down. Have fun with it.
yeah. So that's what we're gonna ride with there. I'm gonna throw it to you now. We gotta talk about what our moral's gonna be. So
It could be anything.
anything.
All right. I got mine.
So we're doing a team one.
So we
right?
can do. How about this? We can do the actual game
Do you
over
love
or
the
spread.
over?
I do love the
Because
over.
I love the
but
over too.
I love something else more. So you can
Tell me
take
what.
the over.
Tell me what something else is.
So it's a player prop.
Okay. What is it?
I'm taking Jake Elliott over, whatever it is.
Jake
Over
Elliott
points,
over.
over field goals.
Let's see.
I am taking it. I feel like it's a big moment for him. I think, again, the Chiefs defense, they're going to make Jalen Hurts throw, and they're going to get stopped at times on third down. Jake Elliott's going to come in. He's going to start kicking field goals. I'm going to take the over on him. I feel like a lot of the fans have been
So, do you
Up
want
and
me to
down.
read off what you have for Jake Elliott
Yes.
offered here? All right. So, most kicking points, he's the underdog right now. Jake Elliott, total field goals attempted. The over 1.5 is minus 166.
Oh, that one.
You like that
By
one?
far. He's going to take 2 field goals, definitely.
All right. I'm down to ride that.
I'm 100%.
All right, so
taking
that's
that.
our
I
mortal.
might even take most points as well at the underdog.
That's our mortal.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm taking the over
Over
of field
1.5.
goal attempts.
All right.
2 field goal
Perfect.
attempts?
Only 2.
That's
6
fine.
points.
That's great.
Beautiful.
All right, that's the over.
Yeah.
Are you shocked that I went that route?
No, I mean,
kicker route?
it's funny you did that because I was looking at that earlier.
Yeah, I have a
I like
good
that a
feeling
lot.
on Jake Elliott this
I
game.
like that a lot. So I want to get into some other stuff here. So I want to look at just regular player props before we get into the interview. Hurts is at 211.5 for his over-under on passing. If he gets that, the birds are flying.
Cruising.
Flying. I don't know why. I just can't see him throwing for more than 200 in this game. I can't.
Either. No.
I can't.
They're going to take away AJ. I think AJ has a big under game.
70.5 yards for AJ.
I think he might have like 6 receptions, but I think it's going to be for like 50 yards. I think they're going to take him away, and they're going to make him work with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. I just don't see a way where they just go man on man with A.J. Brown. I mean, they will, but they're going to limit him to short routes.
Yeah,
They're going to have a safety come over the top and help him out, and they're just going to let Devontae Smith, who's been there once, they're going to try and let him take over. He's not as physical. You know that. I love Devontae Smith. We know he's not as physical. And Dallas Goedert. Listen, everyone loves Dallas Goedert. He's a good player. Like, he takes care of the ball. Big moments like a Super Bowl. He's been there before. Can he do it again? We'll see.
Yeah.
So
Both
I think
those players are at 50 yards for the over-under.
Yeah, I think one of those guys will hit again because Saquon's going to be stopped. Who are you going to feed? Who's going to be the guy who steps up? Is it going to be Devontae Smith? Is it going to be Dallas Goedert? Is it going to be A.J. Brown?
Yeah.
I don't think A.J. does it. I really don't. Inner excellence, not in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so A.J. Brown's sitting at 70.5 for his over-under and 4.5 on receptions. I do like the receptions over.
I like the over there.
The yards, I'm not sure. That's a lot of yards. A lot of yards for a guy that they're going to be making it a point to shut down and push on to number 2 or Goddard. Yeah, I like everything you're saying there. Last prop that I want to talk to you about is Saquon.
Okay.
His over-under is 110.5 yards. It's a lot of yards again. It's a lot of yards for a guy that's very clearly going to have to be stopped by the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think you just roll with it. I think you just take the over and hope for the best. I think he's hit the over. The only time he didn't hit the over, I think it was 3 or 4 times.
Yep,
He was
Dallas
an
was
under
one of
running
them.
back. Dallas was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an over guy.
That was a
Yeah,
W.
in the Super Bowl, he's going to win you the money. It's like you bet Derrick Henry anytime touchdown every week. Yeah. It's probably going to happen, and if not, it will happen next week. Unfortunately, there is no next week. So just take the over there, call it a day.
I like that. All right, so card. Here, I'll throw this over to you, and you can look through here for your stuff. So I got mine written down here. My card, Mike, I'm going to go with Saquon and Hunt to each have 5+ rushing yards each quarter at plus 500. I mean, Saquon, I think, is a lock for that. It's just, are they going to feed Hunt? Is Mahomes going to give the ball to Hunt every single quarter? And can he just get 5 yards? A measly 5 yards. That's all we're asking for. 5 yards rushing each quarter plus 500. I have a little parlay for the people. Most passing yards, Mahomes. Most receiving yards, Kelsey. Most rushing yards, Saquon at plus 614. I like that one a lot too. The receiving yards is going to be close, only because of what I saw last game. The Bills were able to shut down Kelsey in the middle of the field and force Mahomes to go to other players on the team. Will the Birds be able to do that? I hope not. I don't think they will, but that's my disclaimer for that one. Now, the rest of this, I mean, this might make you laugh, Mike.
Go ahead.
I'm just riding Saquon. I'm riding all of Saquon. So I'm taking Saquon anytime touchdown at minus 190. Saquon 2+ touchdowns at plus 280. Saquon first half touchdown plus 130. Saquon second half touchdown plus 155. I'm also parlaying the first half touchdown and the second half touchdown at plus 438. And then I love the over at 48.5. I'm taking the Birds plus 1.5.
Wow.
And then obviously we have the Jake Elliott.
Very good.
Over 1.5 field goals.
Yeah,
huge card. Huge card. Big game. Big game.
Let me see. Any player to have 100 yards receiving? No. 60-yard reception? No. Okay, so right off the bat, I think Kansas City has the most sacks. I think Jalen Hurts holds on to the ball a little too long. Again, they're going to contain Saquon.
Do you think the Eagles have more sacks?
No, the Kansas City does.
Kansas City has more ball
Kansas
sacks.
City is going to have more sacks than the Eagles.
You
More
didn't
ball
hear what I
sacks.
said.
Yes, I heard that. Jake Elliott, most kicking points. We're taking it. We're taking it. We're riding with it. What else? Most completions. Well, Mahomes, that's it. Quarterback throw the first reception. Rushing props. Wow, these are some interesting props right here.
Really nice props.
These are some interesting props. Look at this. Kansas City win the Super Bowl and Scotty Scheffler win the Phoenix Open. Cross sports specials. Love it. What else here? I'm looking. A lot of stuff here. I will... You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take the under on A.J. Brown receptions or receiving yards. Sorry. I think
I knew where
hits
you were
the
going
over
there.
there. Receiving yards, I'm going to take the under there. I will take that's pretty much it.
Perfect.
That's
the
really
over?
keep it simple. And the over in the game.
over.
Yeah. And that's kind of it.
Are
I
you
don't
going to
have
make
much.
a pick on the winner? Did you take that?
I like the Birds to win. I'm not going to put it on the card. I want them to win. Kansas City, you can never count them out, but I'm going to take the Birds underdog to get the dub in NOLA.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's our show this week. So we have the best bets. Let us know what your favorite pick was for this week for the Super Bowl picks, parlays, whatever you got. Send them our way, and maybe we'll ride with you. Might give you a shout out on the next show, on the Instagram, everything. But without further ado, let's send you to the interview. We got John Spagnola.
Enjoy
See you guys. All right, guys. Real quick break from the show. Mesa Modern Mexican. Go to the Cantilla. It's time to get yourself a margarita from Mikey. When you go there, we have a nice little special offer for you. They are going to give you 10% off your entree if you mention the B Team podcast. So get over there, not just on a Sunday. Go on a Monday, go on a Tuesday. Make it an everyday thing. Go there for lunch. Do it 3-4 times a week. Take the kids out. You work all week. Take a load off. Go get 10% on the B Team. When you go there, say it to your waitress, say it to your bartender, say it to the manager, say it to your friends. Spread the good word of the B Team. Tell them the B Team podcast sent you. Tell them Mikey sent you. When you see him there, don't just walk by like a stranger. Say hello to him. Tell him Colin sent you. I'm probably not going to be there every day because I'm working here putting out good content for all of you. While I'm on the topic, subscribe. Go to Mesa Modern Mexican, Easton, PA. Great food, great prices. Get yourself 10% off today mentioning the B Team. Back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are the B Team. I'm your host, Mike Silvestri. We have Colin Moeller here, and of course, our special guest, 11-season player, Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle Seahawks, Green Bay Packers, Bethlehem legend, John Spagnola.
Wow. I haven't had an introduction like that in a long time. Thanks, guys. You know how to pump an old man up, that's for sure.
We try our best over here, man. But thank you for coming on, John. We really appreciate it. But we just want to start here. Listen, Birds are in the Super Bowl. Kansas City, obviously, it's a rematch. First off, I want to talk about your career. I want to get into your career first. So you obviously, the majority of your career, you have played with the Eagles. How does that feel, playing for your hometown team?
It was awesome. I mean, it was a sort of interesting spin on things. I was drafted by New England in the 9th round. As you know, they don't have 9 rounds anymore. So she told me, what I was looked at as a college talent. But I went to camp. I learned. I was mostly wide receiver in college. I learned to play tight end. Knew I could play. Frustrated that I got cut. And I got picked up by the Eagles after a workout. And down in their, down at Widener University, which where they had camp back then. Dick Vermeil was the coach. And so they clearly thought I was an upgrade on the backup tight end position, and they wanted to sign me. Problem was Vermeil was against it. I had not gone through his camp. He was big on his camp back then. He literally killed people, stuff like that. Worked people very hard. And so, I was kind of on the precipice of signing. I was supposed to sign, and then the backup tight end had a reasonably good game in the last preseason game, and then I was, they held off for a couple of days after they had told me to come down there. And then finally they signed me. But my life was hell. My first year, practices were live on me most of the time. And Vermeil made it very clear that he didn't want me on the team and he was going to run me off the first chance he had. So, I played under this aura of, fear, which was one thing, and that motivated me. But the other side was, it was 60 miles from Bethlehem, PA, and, got to see my buddies. And I just remember a glorious night where I caught my first NFL pass on Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell taught a class at Yale, and I was a pupil of his, and he went nuts on the air. And everybody was asking me how I knew Howard Cosell. And I just remember that night I went out with my high school quarterback, Pat Haney, and Paul Gold and a couple other friends. And, we went out drinking and this and that. We wound up throwing a football like at 2 a.m. in the parking lot of McDonald's over outside of Camden. But, it was, such was our love for football, and the fact that like we all kind of made it together. They were there with me every step of the way. It was just a wonderful thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it was a dream. It was a dream and it came true. And I was very fortunate. It happened to me.
Did you know at a certain age, because obviously you played at Becca as well, you played at Yale, was there a certain time in maybe Yale or at Becca in high school where you thought that football was your calling and that this is what you wanted to do?
No, it really wasn't. And maybe that's a good thing. I kind of, football helped me get into Yale. I wound up being a pretty good player by my senior year. I was a late bloomer, if you will. I played junior year at 6'1", 160. And then my senior year, I was 6'3", and I was really 175. But on weigh-in day, we could wear clothes. I went in the gym, put 2 5-pound pounds
absolutely
in my pants pockets, and held them. So when I got on the scale, I weighed 185 instead of 175. And the coach looked at me and goes, "Spags, you don't look 185 to me. You look skinny." That's like, coach. I guess my bones are thick.
You got to beat the system, man.
Yeah. So it's kind of a late bloomer. And then even in college, although I started and played, sophomore year, junior year, it wasn't really till the end of my junior year, I got some letters from scouts and stuff like that. So I knew I had a shot. But it wasn't my plan. It was my dream, but it wasn't my plan. And it just sort of worked out.
No, that's awesome. I actually read somewhere that, was it your brother that played at Harvard?
Yes.
Yeah, so those games had to be fun. Yale versus Harvard.
I just pulled this out today because I'm hosting a Super Bowl party. But if you can see this is 1976. My brother, my dad, and he played center. I played, tight end.
Yeah.
And there's my dad. And as I said in a banquet a year ago, my brother and I were the Kelsey brothers before the Kelsey brothers were born. Come on.
They're stealing your thunder.
They should have gave you the late show.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was neat to play. It was his senior year, my junior year, or my sophomore year. We won the game, and my heart went out to him because it was his last game as a collegiate. And he put a brave smile on for that picture, but he was hurt, and I felt his pain. I really did.
No, absolutely. So talking about Super Bowl, because you say you're hosting a Super Bowl party, What specifically do you remember from that Super Bowl? Because it had to mean a lot to you, putting the Eagles uniform on and getting to play in a Super Bowl, the biggest game in football, in your hometown team's uniform.
Yeah. It was, I started in the game. We ran a play. The first pass play that Ron Jaworski threw, I was the intended receiver, and it wound up being an interception. And I was open, but he needed to throw the ball over a linebacker. He tried to zip it, behind his back ear, and he wound up, intercepting it. So it's just sort of that memory is still fresh in my mind. The play, I asked myself, could I have done this? Could I have given him a better, view or window to throw the ball, or could do this, could have done that? And that game came down to 5 plays. We lost 27-10, but there was, it came down to 5 plays, and all those 5 plays worked against us. And then, and so that was my second year, and I really thought, okay, every year we went a little further in the playoffs, lost in the first round in 78. I wasn't on that team. We made it to the second round in 79. The third year we make it to the Super Bowl. It was my second year in the league. And it just doesn't work that way. They don't say, okay, Eagles, you're next in line, up the escalator of Super Bowl wins. And, the next year we lost to the Giants, who were an up and coming team. They had just signed Lawrence Taylor, and then that was the San Francisco Giants period, where they in Chicago Bears period over the next 3 for 5 years, very dominant teams, and we weren't part of that anymore. So it's just I think the lesson is, man, when you get a bite out of that apple, you take you gotta get it, you really do. You never know when it's coming again.
Absolutely, it makes it even more impressive with what the Chiefs are doing right now, what the Patriots do.
Yes.
It's just impressive to see, they're able to keep going back and get chances, more bites at the apple. And, it's really hard to do it. Patrick Mahomes was talking about it yesterday, how he actually was one of those kids that didn't like the Patriots growing up because they always won. And now he respects it so much more.
Yes. Well, I mean, the common denominator there is, I think Mahomes is the greatest quarterback ever to play.
He knows ball.
He throws the ball where it should be thrown. He's learned not to take risks when he doesn't necessarily have to. He only runs in key moments, but you notice he's always got a big scramble at the end of a big game. It's not a coincidence that that's when it happens. And also, having seen that Netflix series a couple of years ago, it was about him. It was Kirk Cousins, and it was I forget the other guy's name. Mariotti, right? It was Mariotti, and I mean, I didn't realize how hard the guy trained outside of what he's supposed to do with the Chiefs. This guy's own person. I mean, he had that ridiculous ankle sprain injury, and that guy, over a 2-week period, wrung out all the swelling, everything else, and he was very effective. He was like 95%. And he puts a lot of time into it. And those, it's kind of the same thing with Saquon Barkley. When you see his training regimen, he practices, that reverse spin leap. Like, that's not something he just, ad-libbed that day. That's something he actually works on. And when you see Mahomes like roll left, throw across his body right, with a no-look pass, he works on that. I mean, he honestly works on that. So his core strength, like everything else, is incredible. And it's like when you see Michael Jordan, you have the most talent and you're going to outwork everybody else. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's what Mahomes does. So I respect that. I really do. And I think he could do more, outside the pocket than Brady could. Brady just was a cool assassin, in the pocket, who said, come on, bring your blitz, and I'll tear you to shreds. And that's what he did.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what's cool too. That kind of like leads into my one question here, because obviously your generation, you played in the 80s, like late 70s. And then you said, I was actually shocked that you said Mahomes you think is going to be the greatest of all time. What kind of like stands out to you with this new era of football compared to the old age, the 80s, the 90s? Like, are there some rules that you like, that you hate? Like, what is something that either like grinds your gears or you're in favor of like the new era of our football?
Great question. Okay. If the ball touches the ground, it's incomplete. Can we start there? Okay.
Yes.
I want to hear the ball was controlled. The ball hit the ground. It's incomplete. Do you remember years ago, they had this rule where if you jumped on the sideline and you get pushed out, but you catch it and you might have landed in, It's complete. Like they went through that fallacy for like 8 years or so. I'm going, you're either in or you're out. The ball touches the ground. It's no longer completion. I don't care how well it's controlled. I don't care if the laces don't move. I don't care any of that. So look at that play, in the Buffalo game. Incomplete, hit the ground. I don't care who's controlling. You don't control a ball when it hits the ground. So I pull my hair out because that happens at least twice, 3 times a game. And you've got to, guys got to run in the booth and the game is interrupted for 10 minutes. And it's like, I'm sorry, the ball hit the ground. So, I could start there. I think, the NFL is turning into the NBA a little bit where you got these guys, flopping now. Defensive linemen flop when they think they're getting held. And a lot of times you see a flag. I've never seen holding in my life, so I don't know. Yes.
It's just funny how that works.
Another area, they've made wonderful. I would love to be a tight end today. I'd go across the middle years ago, and even if the ball wasn't coming my way, somebody would take my head off, and that was fine. Today you can go across the middle with impunity, and nobody's going to hit you. I think most of the rule changes are for the better. They're cleaning it up. There's less unnecessary hits. They overprotect the quarterback. I don't think if a quarterback's going to sit down at the last second, there's got to be some sort of accommodation for that. That one call where the two guys collided and they wind up calling it, against the defense anyway. I think, and Mahomes, he gets those calls. He's a protected species, and let's face it, if he gets hurt, it's a big drop down to anybody else. So those are Mike. Those are the kind of things that drive me nuts. You hit on the real nerve though with the,
especially as an ex-player too. Like as an ex-player, you're watching these games, and I feel like, obviously, dude, my dad talks about it all the time. When he talks about the sack exchange, me and Joe Green, like, oh, there were no flags, this, like, him. Like, he will never let it go. But now he's the same way. He's pulling out his hair. He's like, how is this a flag? How is this a flag? Like, the abundancy of flags that we see nowadays is ridiculous. And I don't want to get all conspiracy theorist over here, but when you see these referees, a lot of them have full-time jobs. Like, they're just doing this part-time and everything too, but there's no scrutiny on them. There's no post-game interview on these referees. So it's a lot different in the way the NFL goes about it, where there's no liability for them. They just call the game, they move on. But there's so many questions that the fans have, and even the players and the coaches. So it's weird in that dynamic.
When it comes, the league evaluates the officials. They're pretty buttoned up with that. They rank them and evaluate them and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you are right. They are part-timers. Even like the peel back block. I liked that. I've been on the wrong side of that block. I've been on the right side of it and the wrong side of it. I remember covering a kickoff once against the Saints. That was my second year. Man, and I was like I was 2 removed from the kicker, run down the middle, and I'm expecting this guy to block me, that guy, and on the front line, and they don't. And then I'm going, oh my God, they haven't accounted for me. I'm running like, oh my God, here comes the runner. And all of a sudden, boom, I get blindsided. The guy broke my nose. I'm like lying on the ground flopping. But I was like, that's football.
Exactly.
I got my nose fixed a couple of days later. It's no big deal. But there was, and I remember in a playoff game against Tampa, I was running a post pattern and Carmichael ran an in route. He catches it. And as I'm coming back, I knocked out both safety, not knocked him out, but I knocked him on the ground. The free safety, I hit him so hard he flew into the strong safety, and Harold scored. It was a cutback block, and I thought that's okay. Like, to me, that's football. That kind of stuff they legislated out a little bit. I'm not sure they need to, but guys are so much bigger, stronger, faster, and it's just force is what mass times velocity, right? So, it's like twice as what it used to be. And I guess, and the fields aren't all muddy the way they were in the 70s and stuff. So you got perfect traction. And I guess you have to be careful about, blowing people up.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring back the grass.
Well, that's something that happened in that Bills game too. There was one play, Mahomes threw it down the middle to Worthy, I want to say. And Bills, I think it was Hamlin, came in, and the only way he could knock this play up and destroy the play was to hit him. So he did, and he got flagged for
or something,
defenseless receiver. And you're looking at it, it's like, well, what else was he supposed to do? Is he supposed to let him catch it and then hit him? or just give up a touchdown. There was only the other two options.
And they also like a guy is leaving his feet. He's already determined what he's going to do, and then the back does or the receiver does something while he's there. Like it's sort of once you leave your feet, it's kind of all over. Like you can't blame a guy at some point for deciding what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for the refs.
Yeah, I think one of the rule changes that I hate the most is the hip drop tackle. I just think it is I understand why they have it, but you're making a play. When you're talking about even the quarterbacks, you can't hit them below the knees. Like sometimes they're getting pushed. The D tackle is getting pushed into the quarterback. Special teams is a great example. Like they have no control over it. They're trying to make a play, and then bam, they get flagged for some either hip drop tackle, which I don't even know how many times they called it, but I don't know. Even at the start of the season, the illegal formations, it was like, what is going on here? That was bad. Game 1.
Yeah, you see a lot of that with the shifting and everything else. And then sometimes the tackle lines up too far back, with the set. They get a little nitpicky with motions now. But I see players sloppy too. It's like if you're going to go motion or wherever else, you shift. You have to pause for a second, and then you can go motion. These guys, and nobody rides them in practice because you can't yell at players anymore. I'll give you a funny story, though. They do the rule changes every year and stuff. And, one year they were talking about hits on quarterbacks, right? And they got to limit the hits on quarterbacks and the late hit on quarterbacks. And they're showing the reel. They sort of put a piece together, and they're showing, play after play after play, and all defensive line going, what's wrong with that? Oh, that's okay. Put a dress on the quarterback. And then they went to, okay, you can't engage, a defensive lineman anymore, where like say the guard is engaging the tackle, and then the tackle would come down and cut, the defender at the knees, So then they showed all those clips, and you hear the same guys who are like going, kill the back quarterbacks. They're going like, oh, that's awful. Oh, that's cruel. Oh, how did you let that happen? Oh, the poor guy. So like, they were fine killing other people, but when it came to their knees, it was like, hey, hands off.
Oh, so that was an issue.
Yeah.
Well, I want to back up real quick to what you were saying about the tight ends earlier. How impressed are you with the evolution of the tight end position? Because nowadays you look at Kelce and Garrett, who will be playing in the Super Bowl this week, and there's weeks where you could argue they're the wide receiver 1.
They are. That position has evolved. As I said, you can't hit them with impunity anymore. You can't really hold them up. With Kelce, who's kind of a loper, he gets the mismatch with the smaller defensive back, who he can outmuscle, or he gets the mismatch with the speed versus the linebacker. He can't keep up with them. So it's kind of it's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
And then he also, I think, he and Mahomes do a lot of just sort of ad-libbing together, and then they take it to Andy and say, hey, what do you think? So they're just on this page together where nobody else is. And, you see him like the touchdown pass he caught, I think it was Buffalo, or maybe it was the week before, where like he lines up inside, then he goes all the way out to a wide receiver position, then comes in motion, and then he runs a simple, like just a little seam route, and everybody forgets about him. Mm-hmm. And I'm screaming like, nobody ever forgot about me when I was trying to run into the end coverage. Like I was always covered. Like nobody ever forgot me ever in my career. And so I wonder, like, how do you get like the leading receiver of all time in the playoffs, and your zone defense forgets about him? But that's what Andy does better than anybody. He dials up these plays that create. He's always going to shift. He's always going to have motion. And he's always going to, hope that the defense just doesn't always account for stuff. And so, to answer your question, the tight end used to line up next to the tackle. You blocked. You were part of the blocking and the double teaming and the running game. And then, like Helen Winslow came along, and okay, now you have 2 tight ends. You lined up at wing, and now you're more. And now you got, now you're just split out. You're standing up. You're not in a 3-point stance. And you're a vital part, of the offense, both in the short game, moving the chains, but, also in big plays and, really in the red zone too. I would love to be playing today. I would love to be playing today. I really would. It'd be so much fun.
Now, we're going to get into the game here. This is a good segue into the game. So obviously back then, very ground and pound. A lot of coaches back in the day run the football, pass second. That was second option. I feel like there was a stretch of time maybe 2 or 3 years ago where it was a very pass-heavy league. And now you have the Eagles, who just had, 7 rushing touchdowns against Washington. Seeing that come back, do you think that is the recipe for success of what they have to do against Kansas City?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. They have to control the ball. They certainly have to run the ball. Kansas City's not bad against the rush. They're like 8th, I think, in the NFL. But the Eagles run the ball differently. But here's what I would suggest. Instead of coming out and trying to run the ball down their throats like they did against the Commanders, I would hope they pass to set up the run.
Yeah.
Now, I really love the Eagles' passing game early in that game. Short rollouts, 5-yard passes here, 8-yard passes there, hitting Goodard over the middle, keeping it under 10, 15 yards, not asking Hurts to drop back and read. He's not great at that. He's just not. And so if they force the Eagles to throw the ball, Kansas City will win. If the Eagles dictate how they're going to throw the ball and how they run the ball, they're going to win. And turnovers are going to be really important, as they were against the Commanders and stuff. So I want to see those beasts pounded. The Eagles' offensive line averages 360 pounds.
Yeah.
That's like they average like 6'7", 360. Are you kidding me? They outweigh the defensive line of the Chiefs by like 23 pounds, but they can get after you, and they can wear you down. And the best I can remember games where we were winning. And there's nothing like being in a huddle in the fourth quarter, and as you hear the play, you look up and you see a bunch of big, defensive linemen. Their hands are on their hips, they're breathing heavily, and you're saying, "We got you, we got you." And so I think, but you got Steve Spagnola, no relation.
We made sure we had to check that out first.
Claim it, but he's really good. He's really good. He's head and shoulders. So they have to dictate to him. He can't dictate to the offense, or the Eagles' offense will be in trouble. So that's the part that concerns me, is that, of course he knows we're going to run the ball, of course, but I think we have to try to keep that defense on its heels. Keep it in the third and short situations, and then I think we'll be fine. And the tush push, they stopped that against Buffalo. Look. Josh Allen was standing straight up every time he tried to do that. I don't understand what he was doing. Yeah. You've got to get down where Hurts is. You got to root out and drive your legs. And he was like going high over left guard, and the announcer's going like, Tony Romo said he likes to go left here. It's like, well, I think the Chiefs know that too. So I thought that was really unfortunate. I think Buffalo had a real chance to win that game, but they just, they have to tie up the loose ends a little more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game, there was a few where Josh Allen actually, he jumped over the pile and fumbled. He got lucky on the one. It was, we spoke about it a few shows ago. It was just weird play calling in the red zone, especially. They totally should have won the game, but it is what it is. It's football.
These games come down to, okay, I drive down the field. Usually Mahomes scores 7. He scored 3. Josh Allen has the ball with 3.5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. It's like, this is, this is where Elway, Montana, you go down the list. This is where this is all where they made their bones. This is it. And that 4th and 5 play, he had 2 receivers open. He had the short, the guy Shakir flipping around there, number 10, and then he had, if the corner is going to blitz, there's nobody on the wide receiver. Hit him so he can get 5 yards. That's what a sight adjustment is all about. But Josh is like, he's so good, it almost gets in the way. And the play he made was superhuman. It really was, but it didn't have to be that. It could have been, boop, I got the ball. That's what Brady does. Oh, you're blitzing? Huh, okay, first down. We'll move the chain, see if you blitz again, right? Whereas he's like, whoa. But it's easy for me to say, He's the guy with, everybody in his face.
And I think that's what Jalen Hurts is going to have to do, because I believe that the Chiefs know that they're going to stack the box. They're going to try to contain Saquon Barkley. That's priority number 1. They're going to try and just let Jalen Hurts throw, like you said, not the best when he's reading coverage and covers and whatnot, but I think Jalen Hurts can do it. I mean, there's been a lot of pushback on Jalen Hurts. My biggest thing for them is they didn't turn the ball over at all throughout the playoffs, and that's what won them games. Every single time they played a team, they turned the ball over. Washington turned it over, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
The Lions are the Lions are the Commanders, but they took care of the football, and I think that's what's so key against the Chiefs here, because they're going to have turnovers, but they can come right back and score. So it's going to be interesting to see.
If I'm Kansas City, Barkley's not beating us. Brown's not beating us. Smith's not beating us. Goddard's not beating us. Hurts. You got to beat us.
Yeah.
And I mean, probably in the running game too. I think they're going to load. They're going to say, "Go ahead. Ride Saquon. Do your read. We're going to collapse. You have to run and beat us too, because at least that way they get to beat up on them and stuff like that." So.
And I was saying too. For if you're talking about what the Chiefs, because we talked about this last week, I think if you're the Chiefs, and I don't have anything against the Eagles secondary. They're young. They're very young. Darius Slay and C.J. Gardner-Johnson are older veterans on the team. They could be vulnerable at times, and I think the Chiefs are going to try to exploit that. I think they're going to be very creative, not just run the ball up the middle with Kareem Hunt. I think they're going to go after Cooper DeJean. They're going to go after Quinyon Mitchell. So they got to be on their A game. Like you said, the apple's there. Take a bite out of it. Take it all.
I like Mitchell though. How about that? His first
2
picks are in a playoff game. I mean, the guy can cover. I mean, I'm glad he's healthy. His shoulder's good, and all that stuff. Big play Slay. He gives up big plays, but he makes big plays too. They have a solid secondary. The pass rush. We have a good defense. I mean, going into this season, people said, "What do you think of the team?" I said, "There's no playmaker on defense." And here it is. 18, 19 games later, it's like, oh my God, we got all these playmakers on defense. So, I think that's great. They have a good scheme. Fangio knows what he's doing. He's a good defensive coordinator. They're solid. I think he hopefully can draw some things up that put pressure on Mahomes. Mahomes is not, he's not a superhuman, although he's
close to it.
But I think he can force the ball. He can make some mistakes too. So we'll see. The old cliche is don't turn it over, and that's I think that's still the key. I really do.
I want to go back to the tush push. I have to do this. So obviously, if the NFL did something, they would strictly be targeting the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you think they will do something or adjust it? Because Mueller had a proposition back a couple weeks ago. You remember that?
I did. I was saying that the way that they set up the tush push should, I don't want to say make it more fair, because I did say this, that if you can do it, do it. And the Eagles are great at it. Now, they get stopped sometimes, so it makes you think oh, maybe if teams just play better defense, they could stop it.
1 out of 10 times.
Yeah, but they're hitting this at 99% clip, it feels like. And they line up with 3 guys behind Jalen Hurts, and everyone's just shoving them forward. It's almost impossible to stop if it's the right combination of players. Now, my idea was that you still line up in a run play. You get an I formation. You got Saquon back there behind him, but he's the only one behind him, and he can push. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think Saquon is a guy that should be carrying, and it's just the way in which they do it, and when you saw the capitulation, right, of was it the Commanders, right? It was when they kept jumping over the top, right?
Yeah. Frankie Louvu.
Well, I've never seen a referee say, "Hey, if they keep this up, we're going to award a score." I've never heard that before. But it was kind of like he's trying to time it out, and they're saying, "What do you have to lose?" We went from a yard to a half a yard. Now we're now we're to a foot. Now we're 6 inches, 3 inches, And so they didn't care and they were hoping to get the Eagles to jump because now it's 5 yards. That was the intent there, right? And so it just shows how futile it is to stop the tush push. I think they can get cute off of it, with a play. I sneak the tight end, down the seam and see how they overcommit or whatever, similar to the fake punt that was run against the Eagles that worked. I think they can kind of get creative. It's the Super Bowl. Look at what they do against the tush push. Now, Spagnola's shrewd too. I'm sure he's going to say everybody who's got a receiver, stay on him and stuff like that. But it's effective. I think the league's going to do something about it. in the offseason.
That was my next
I think
question.
They have their way with it too much. But you got a guy that can squat, 600-700 pounds. So, go with it.
Yeah.
And
before we let you get out
of here,
I just want to give you the option of picking a team to win. I think I know who you're going to pick to win the Super Bowl. But give us your prediction. Give us a score.
I like the Eagles. 30-24. I really do. I think they can play a complete game. I think he's playing them 2 years ago. They have a feel for it. I think it's a better team, top to bottom. And I think they're going to get after them. I mean, I just think it's an offensive line game. And if I'm those guys, I just think, remember years ago, John Riggins played and it was the first Super Bowl Joe gives after the 1982 season. And they're going into the playoffs, and John Riggins, he was a counter tray offense, and he ran the ball, like 24 times a game or whatever else. And he went into Gibbs and said, "You want to go all the way through the playoffs to the Super Bowl?" Of course, yeah. Feed me. He just said, "I need the ball 30 plus times. Feed me." And he did. And that was the difference. And there's a guy who's strong enough and good enough to be able to carry a team on his back. And I kind of look at Saquon that way in the offensive line. It's on you guys. It's on you. We're going to run the ball 3 times in a row. You got to get 10 yards, right? Make it happen. And I think they will. So anyway, I'm getting a little psyched up here, guys. I got to tone down a little bit. I'm getting all worked up.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Great.
My pleasure, Alan. Mike, it was really nice to be with you, and let's hope we can have a little discussion after the Super Bowl and do a nice, little after party discussion of how it all worked out. Okay.
That works.
Sounds
man.
good. Sounds good.
That works. John, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nice to
Good
see
to
you.
be with you both. Thanks.